Come on, y'all two. Y'all are crazy, man.
Time goes by so slowly. 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 dancing machine. Oh, baby, move it, baby. Automatic, systematic, full of color, self-contained. Tuned and channeled to your vibes. Captivating, stimulating. She's such a sexy lady. Filled with space safe design.
She's moving, she's grooving, dancing until the music stops now. Yeah.
Rhythmatic, acrobatic. She's a dynamite attraction. At the top of a coin, she goes live. Yeah, she knows what she's doing. She's super bad now. She's here to really blow your mind. Dancing, dancing, dancing.
She's a dancing
Machine. Oh, baby, do it, baby. Dancing, dancing, dancing.
She's a dancing
Machine. Oh, baby, move it, baby. She's a dance, 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 dancing machine. Watch her get down, as you do her thing right on the scene. She's a dance, 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 dancing machine. Watch her get down, as you do her thing right on the scene. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. Shake it, baby. Shake it, baby. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. Dance, 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 dance machine. Watch her get down, as you do her thing right on the scene. She's a dance, 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 dance machine. Watch her get down, as you do her thing right on the scene. She's a dance, 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 dance machine. Watch her get down, as you do her thing right on the scene.
All the shorties in the club, let me see you just back it up, drop it down, let me see you just get low, scrub the ground, let me see you just push it up, let me see you just
Wobble, baby, wobble, baby, wobble, baby, wobble. Yeah. Wobble, baby, wobble, baby, wobble, baby, wobble. Yeah. Wobble, baby, wobble, baby, wobble, baby, wobble. Yeah. Wobble, baby, wobble, baby, wobble, baby, wobble.
Get it now, get it now, get it now, get it now.
Hey, big girl, make her bag it up. Make her bag it up. Hey, big girl, make her bag it up. Make her bag it up. Hey, big girl, make her bag it up. Make her bag it up. Hey, big girl, make her bag it up. Make her bag it up. Back it up.
I got them shaking they boobies like Congos, man. I'm shaking the city like quakes. The haters blue in the face like Gonzo, cause I'm breaking the cake, so let's bake. I'm taking the game's mine. Y'all witness the change, it's my time. Yeah, I'm new to the game, but y'all might wanna say you whack raps, daylight saving time. I can dance on me, I don't two-step. Y'all looking at something like a true player. A girl told me that a man that can dance might could possibly get down with the tool in his pants. Now I'm a ladies, let me see it vibrate. And when it's over, you ain't gonna need your bird. Cause I'm a pro, make you bend your back low, then the pound it real bad, just like the percolate.
Wobble, baby, wobble, baby, wobble, baby. Yeah. Wobble, baby, wobble, baby, wobble, baby, wobble. Yeah. Wobble, baby, wobble, baby, wobble, baby, wobble. Yeah. Wobble, baby, wobble, baby, wobble, baby, wobble.
Get it now, get it now, get it now, get it now.
Hey, big girl, make her bag it up. Hey, big girl, make her bag it up. Make her bag it up. Hey, big girl, make her bag it up.
All right.
We actually. Right now, let's go ahead and get started. All right. Good afternoon, KW. Hey, how's everyone doing? Cinco de Mayo. What is Cinco de Mayo, Friday, right? All right, you know, Friday, we're also having a little kind of theme of the Cinco de Mayo, compliments of Fernando Diaz. And then also, I think we're gonna have some food on an El Torito with what he says. So again, welcome, good afternoon. Can you believe it's May already? So let's go ahead and get started. So our mission is to provide agents with a place where they will be empowered, trained, motivated to experience growth, wealth, and a legacy that allows them to live the best life possible. Our vision is to achieve amazing professionals and personal development so that KW South Bay remains the agency of choice and obviously your belief. When the values of your company align with your own beliefs, you know you found your professional home. So let's get rocking and rolling. Next slide, please. All right, let's go with it. So let's
I just wanted to share a little something with you because this is something really important to me and also should be important to you. Signing authority. So you want to make sure that you have a valid contract and that the right person is signing the contract. And it's not an unauthorized person that's signing, because that happens, and it happens more often than you would think. There are times that there's an LLC that's a seller or buyer, and then someone's signing on behalf of the LLC, and then I get a copy of the operating agreement, and that person's not an authorized signer. And so you're like, okay, who is this person? Why are they signing this contract? And it really makes your contract void because the wrong person signing it. You don't have a valid contract if the right person is signing it. Same with successor trustees on trust. Sometimes, you know, I've seen a family member sign thinking that they're like administering an estate, but the successor trustee on a trust has to be the one signing the documents, signing the contract, signing the escrow paperwork. So what tends to happen sometimes is on LLCs, for instance, they will try to create their LLC while they're in escrow. So you ask for it, you never get it until the very end, and they come to find out again that it's multiple signers. So you need extra signatures and so on. And what that really also means to you is through the whole transaction, you don't have a valid contract because you don't even have the LLC in existence. So in that case, it's like, you know, your contract isn't valid. And then what are you going to do if you get into a situation where you end up, you know, having to go to arbitration or there's some kind of litigation issue, and then you never have a valid contract? So did you really protect your client if it's on the buyer side? So it's just something that you should have when you get the contract. If you're dealing with a corporation, LLC, and a trust, you always need to look at that documentation and have that documentation when you're accepting the offer, so that you don't put your client in jeopardy with the wrong person signing and making your contract be a part of it.
Well,
Anybody?
can I add to that?
Yeah.
So here's my take on what Maria is, because we don't want to delay the process any more than we should, right? Escrow is a vital position to be, and ultimately our jobs and our responsibility is to ask the right questions. When you know there's going to be an entity, be proactive, get the documentation in place, so that way there's more of a flow to the process. If a corporation is submitting, usually it's investors or developers, they're going to use corporations. Make sure that you have the articles of incorporation. Who is the designated individual? Is it the CEO? Is it a managing member? If it's the president, whoever that is, we need documentation. No difference than when there's a death, right? Maybe it's a husband and wife, right? The husband passed away. And we're gonna need that as part of the process, which is the copy of the death certificate, right? All of this is going to be needed from escrow. Escrow sends it to title, because there has to be a change in ownership. You don't want to have a delay on it. So if you're proactive, then you nip a lot of the things that you don't want to delay, you know, as we get closer to the end of escrow. Right? So-
Correct. And it's not only myself that needs it and you that need it, title will also require it, so they want copies as well. And I did have a situation where a buyer was also the realtor representing himself. He's buying in the name of an LLC and he submitted the offer in the name of the LLC, and I could never get him to give me a copy of it. Then, probably about halfway through the deal, he gives me a copy of another LLC and assigns it to a different LLC. Then I look at that LLC, he's not the signer of that LLC either. He's still signing everything. So then I was like, "Ooh, what are you doing? It's like, this is wrong." So then he sends me another assignment with another LLC and same thing. And I was like going through this with him the whole time, and really, in essence, I'm not supposed to be chasing after these documents, because really the contract was never a valid contract from day one. And so, and I'm in this position where I have to have these things prior to closing, but really they should really come with a contract. So ultimately, he finally established the LLC with himself as the managing member, and then we were finally able to put it. But what he was doing was he was stalling while he was creating the LLC. He wanted to purchase the property, and he was a realtor and he knew what he was doing. Obviously, he's done it before, so he got away with it. So it just puts us in a very awkward position, because we have to be trying to get this paperwork, you know, to verify that we even have a deal. And that's like, you know, you guys want the deposit in right away. Well, it's the same thing with this documentation. You need to have this in as well. Okay? Right.
Just,
Sure.
So, probate, what exactly are you looking for?
Letters of testamentary, and I think the court talking about, I forget the name of it. Letters of testamentary and notice of proposed action. Those are the ones that you need on probate.
With the assigning?
another thing to also be aware, a lot of investors also have multiple corporations, okay? And sometimes they move money from one corporation to another. So if they're submitting an offer with one specific corporation, but then there is a wire of deposit from another corporation, escrow is going to need to verify who that person or entity is. So that can also be a day or two of waiting. So again, just be crystal clear with your clients and ask these burning questions. You know, is there any other corporations that we need to be aware of? You plan, so that way everyone's on the same page, right? That's the key.
That's the key.
That's the key to close on
That's
a
right.
15-day escrow.
Or two.
All right, good information. All right, so next slide, I believe, what's around the corner next week? Thursday, May 11th, 9 o'clock. We also need a lot of volunteers too as well. So it's gonna be awesome. We had this last year. Who was here last year and participated? I remember there was a dinosaur. Rock the dinosaur. Last minute, you just put on that dinosaur and it was a huge success. I was dancing with that dinosaur. I think we got a video clip on there. All right, so Red Day, and the cool thing is we're also going to be partnering up with PB as well. So a lot of the agents from the Palos Verdes office will be there with us too. So it'll be at Wilson Park, back near the training and volleyball court or the basketball court. We need is an SUV or truck and people for the 7:30 setup team, and then lunch and grill. So I know we had a couple of people that are going to be grilling. I think I'm one of them. So I'm going to be backing up and getting grill.
Are you guys okay on the truck, Simon? That's what I'm hearing.
What's that?
I'm sorry, you said you guys are okay on the truck then?
No. We need trucks because there's going to be a lot of stuff that we need to take out their tables. equipment and all that stuff. So if we can get the help, that would be great. You have a
Okay, I'll
truck,
see if,
a
I'll
decent
see if my
size.
daughter's available.
Awesome.
Sure, I'll ask right now.
2:30 AM to get this stuff or?
Ned, yeah, because I think we need a crew here and then also a crew at the park as well. So Natalie. So not
Yes.
here. Okay, so there's your answer.
So for the vehicle, you don't need to, like, to haul any of this stuff over? How's that gonna work?
So we have tables here that we need to take or.
We just need to bring coolers, actually. And an agent has the coolers.
We have very large coolers and some bins of supplies and drinks.
Right. Okay, I would say if you can, let's get a small group of people here at 7:30. And then another group at 7:30 at the park as well, just to play it safe. I know I'm gonna be here helping the girls with the sodas and I believe PB is bringing you guys as well. So all hands on deck obviously will definitely help make this experience for the special needs. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Is there a sign-up sheet for specific things you guys need help with, or you just figured out what we all?
We're just figure it out when we get there. Yeah. So that's how it's gonna work.
There was a link, we need to sign in.
Yeah. There should have been a link. You didn't get the link.
Oh, I've got a shirt and I'm signed up. right?
It's just for the.
I just didn't know what was happening there.
Yeah, beautiful. Cool. Any other questions? All right, well, let's go ahead and continue. All right, next slide, please. We got the May birthdays. Awesome. Is your name up here? Anyone? Name up here? Happy birthday. We have Christina, Danny, Esther, Dorothy, Jessica, Jim, Dale too. Awesome. Kathy, Paul Kidder, Tim, Amir, Louis, Tommy, Lamar. I was just talking to Lamar. So if you happen to come across any of the ages, please wish them a happy birthday. Big list. I know the month of June also has a big list of agents too as well. So let's give them a happy birthday. Next slide. All right, we have our KW anniversary. Michelle Brown, Sue, Lynette, Rosie. How many years, Rosie?
Already?
Yeah. Likewise, we're having fun, right? Robert, Matt, Amy. So how many years?
Fine, I think my 11 years. I think.
11 years. That's awesome. Thank you. Richard.
I was 12 years old.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, you did. So again, if you happen to come across any of the ages, please make sure to wish them a wonderful, happy anniversary. Slow clap. All right. All right, I'm not sure is, oh yeah, Fernando. All right, I'm at, Fernando's up with some mortgage update. Fernando, come on up. Come on, we can do better than.
Yeah, come on now. Anyway, Cinco de Mayo, guys, Friday, we have the big lunch and learn coming up, which is going to bring you some great information, guys, on the new changes that took place May 1st. You guys have heard about all the controversy out there about people with higher FICOs paying more, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to show you the graphs, what they changed. For example, in the past, 740 or higher, you were in the top tier. It just got changed to 780 or higher to get the top tier. So you can see it's going to be expensive for some people, depending on where you're at and what's going to happen. But I'm also going to show you the alternatives. Okay, so there are some alternatives to try to hedge that and help your clients with that. It's just about, knowing, how to talk to them and what to do. And then a couple of our proprietary programs at CMD that we have. One of the ones I told you guys about, which is like shooting fish in a barrel. If you have absolutely nothing else, if you have nothing going on in this business, if you just do that, you're going to get business immediately. And so the home funded program, guys, which is like GoFundMe, but it's a proprietary program that they've set up through Freddie Mac and a couple of other institutions where you can crowdfund for example, for a young wedding couple or older wedding couple, crowdfund to buy a house. And you guys get to go in and set up your own websites for the wedding party. And that gives you exposure to every single person that's obviously invited, whether they're showing up or not to the wedding and want to contribute. So I was talking about this to a few agents, and keep in mind, it's still new to me. And I saw the QR code thing in my homepage where it's there for you to set it up, how you set up. And one of my agents went and immediately did it. because they have a wedding coming up next year. They just got the save the date for a niece or nephew, or whatever. And she already has 4 people inquiring her, hey, how did you do this? What is this about? Because I want this for my kids or for myself. So it's like shooting fish in a barrel. And even if they live out of state, guess what? Refer them out, right? You can still set it up with a wedding party through you. It's all you. And if they need, you know, a help with somebody out of state, just refer them out, and at least you make something there too. So we're gonna talk more about that too. Unless you guys want to know about the fundraising rate.
For Friday, so it's at 12 o'clock here in the training room. It's gonna be about an hour.
12 to 1. I'm gonna try to keep it within the hour. And also, yeah, if you guys are here and want to partake in a margarita afterwards, we're gonna head across the street. So that is another thing we will be doing. So
Across the street where?
in that center meridian on Hudson Boulevard. Right there, the margarita, right there.
Subway.
Yes, because I can't, a couple of people have asked me, hey, you're gonna bring in your margaritas. I'm like, I can't bring them in here, but we can do them somewhere else. But, that's it. All right.
All right. All right, well, let's go ahead and continue. Next slide, please. I believe it's on Mega Camp. Let's play the video. That is there a video? All right, so Mega Camp. Good to start now. Please, if you're thinking of going, I encourage you to please go. It's such an awesome event. It's only 3 days. It is in Austin, Texas. It's August 15 to the 16th. We encourage you to be there early. That way you get the full effect of Mega Agent Camp. So if you're interested, I believe it's 5. Is there a cost on that on here? I believe it's $4.99 or $5.99. Did go up from last year, but what you get is all of Keller Williams. Okay, and it's about a 2.5, 3-hour flight out to Austin. So take advantage of it. This is going to be awesome. The cool thing, family reunion this year was in Anaheim. This is always in Austin, Texas, but it's the coolest thing. And it's one of the best events that I personally like myself. I like it a little better than family reunion because family reunion is so can be too convoluted, too many breakout sessions. This one's concise, and you get to hear from Gary Keller too on the state of the company, the vision, and everything that's going on with it in Keller Williams. So love to have a big group of South Bay agents be part of this. I know leadership is going to be going. So again, please take advantage, register today. Register soon so you can take advantage of Mega Agent Camp. All right, next slide. All right, just a couple of KW communities, KW Military Monthly Learning Series, May 3rd through June 7th. KW Land Series, May 8th. KW Military Monthly Mastermind, May 17th. KW Wellness, May 17, May 22nd, and May 24th. We also have on May 18, the 6 personal perspectives, KW Relocation Building Powerful Pipelines, that's May 18. Social Equity Task Force meeting, May 18. And then our KW Real Estate Planner webinar, that's May 26. All right, KW Style and Design, there's a mastermind in Naples, Florida. That's May 18 through the 20th. It's $9.99. And we also have the KW Workshop, KW Wealth. That's in Austin, May 22nd. That's $9.97. If you're interested in learning more, you have the RU code there. So next slide. We have our sports and entertainment. That's going to be at Chicago Takeover. That's June 13th through the 15th, and then lead to the last workshop. That's at KW International Learning Center. That's in Austin, Texas. That's June 15, and that cost is $998. Next slide. New and improved supplement Keller Inc. Resource. Download the files. All right, so here's some of the exciting things that Keller Williams has. Master your models, price, guide, lead, and more, referenced by the chapter, GPS templates, 411 templates, and more. Wants versus needs, workshops, seminar guides, and glossaries, and all the fun stuff. And as a matter of fact, I picked up this book, and it's a great resource book to really give your clients that are first-time home buyers, especially the ones that are very nervous to pull the trigger. It's a great resource, and it has a lot of nuggets that really gives them the perspective on the process of home ownership. All right, next slide. All right, so our tech moment, some holiday graphs. You want to post these on social media. These are all part of KW Command, Cinco de Mayo, Mother's Day, Memorial Day, so all these fun stuff. So please take full advantage of all the social media stuff that you can utilize for your clients. All right, next slide. All right. Who do we have? Our productivity coach. Who's awesome did it? That's it. We need to change it up
We
now.
need to change it up?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. All right, I'm gonna get a line from the Addams family so that.
There you go.
Let me tell you something before I go. Listen, there are two major events that you must invest in as a new agent, is family reunion and mega camp, okay? My first year I was in coaching, I almost got a divorce because family reunion was always on Valentine's Day weekend. And so I was in coaching, so I paid $1,000 a month for coaching, and that was included. But I was gonna make my money, you know, so my wife didn't fly, so she wouldn't come with me. So I almost got a divorce the first 3 years in business, but I remained to stay. All right, so, okay. So for those of you that weren't on the morning mindset, I shared something I wanted to share with you today. What do we learn in Vogue? For those of you that are here, what did we learn in Vogue about a 3-letter word?
The B one or the T one?
The T one.
The T one. Oh,
What's that 3-letter word?
there is no try.
There is no try, right?
Do or do not.
Do or do not. So we always say there is no try when somebody says, I'm gonna try. But I've added some words to that because I've learned there's only 2 directions you can take in your business. And so the words that I've tried that we use very often in this business is maybe, might, and think. Don't we? We say, maybe I'll do it. I might do it. But guess what? One of the other is going to happen. It's going to either happen or it's not. Okay. So there's something that's going to happen in your business. You're either going to be struggling successfully or you're going to successful. Let me say it right. You are going to be successfully struggling or struggling successfully. The question is, which struggle are you going to own? Okay? That is my statement for today. Is that all right?
That's all right.
All right.
You know, the struggle is definitely real. Every single day, I hear Bob, my next door neighbor, and I use Bob as an example. They can hear me because I'm so loud. Yeah. The struggle is there for sure. You know, but it's a commitment, right? At the end, it's a commitment. If you're willing to put in the time, effort, the results will show up. I promise you that. Okay. So awesome. Thank you, Fred. Appreciate it. All right, next slide. All right, I think we have our stats, broker stats, so let's go to the next slide. Let's see what's going on in South Bay. All right, so City of Torrance on the 90501. The highest price point was $1,160,000. That sold on April 7th. Average home price was $974,000, and your median price point was $1,095,000. This time around, we're down 1.7
Compared to a year or a month?
month to month.
Month to month,
Month.
okay.
Yeah.
The median was down.
That's correct. Okay. All right, next slide. We had 4 homes sold, 14 active, and 11 pending. Next slide. Interesting. All right, now we're going into the Torrance 90502 area code. Highest price point was $940,000. That sold on April 12th. Your average home price was $769,000. Medium price point was $809,500, up 1.2%. Next slide. Again, we had 4 homes sold, 4 active, and 5 pending. 5 pending. Your average days on market was 69. Go back real quick. I'm sorry, Nat. 69 days on market.
That's a long time.
Yeah. That is a long time, especially for that neighborhood.
Look at that turnover rate.
1.95, yeah, that's nothing. Yeah. Interesting facts. Okay. Next slide, please. All right, now we're going into 90503 Torrance. Highest price point was 2.340. That sold on April 10th. Your average home price in that zip code was $1,393,779. Your medium price point was 1.212. We were down this time at 3.6. Okay. 90503. We had 12 homes sold, 2 active, and 9 pending. Days on market in this particular neighborhood is about 21 days. Okay, big difference, right? 279.
Same turnover though.
Why do you think that? Same turnover, but what do you think days on market is a lot less than?
People want to live in a 03 and not 02.
It's absolutely right. You know, they look at school districts, that's one of them. You know, school districts is one of the biggest.
Well, 02 is fake Torrance, right?
I wouldn't call it state.
It's LAUSD.
The uncorporate part of our insurance, but the PO lots of it.
Yeah.
So you're not really getting the actual Torrance, you know, and what are the biggest distinguishes of the uncorporate versus the city? Is city police, city fire department, right?
School district.
And school district, yeah, well. Good point. Okay. Yes, please.
Fake Torrance.
And whose job is to tell the buyers that it's fake?
Sorry, you're living the fake Torrance.
No, but price points definitely are different.
Yeah.
From one particular area to the other. You know, but yeah, you say what you get, I think that. But does it mean that someone that buys the lower part of Torrance or the PO, you know, in 3 to 5 years, they might be able to have substantial equity on the property, right? What we're able to now move. Go to the other side. That's right.
Yeah.
Now the real Torrance. Real Torrance. All right, Awesome. Next slide, please. All right, now we're looking at 90504. Highest price point was 1.280, sold on April 21st. Average home price was $1,018,000, and your median price point was $1,035,000, up 17.7%. This is considered North Torrance. All right, we had 14 sold, 12 active, and 17 pending. We had an average of 26 days on market, 26 days on market. Look at the turnover rate, 2.32. Interesting facts. All right. Next slide. 90505, highest price point was 2.399. That sold on April 28th. Okay. Average home price was 1.426. That's a substantial difference. But see where the property sold, right? You're in the cusp, right, of Redondo Beach area. Yep. So very desirable neighborhood. I'm assuming that was probably one of our agents listing. I think it was Marie Lee's listing. Marie Lee, right? Way to go. Yeah, so way to go, Maureen. One for South Bay for sure. Yeah, because she had a beautiful listing right on the cusp of Redondo Beach and Florence. And surprisingly, yes, that was, yeah, I think that's it, right? All right, we're down 7%. Next slide. We had 12 sold, 15 active, and 16 pending. Days on market was 23 days, and your turnover rate was 1.87. Average years in home was 16. Next slide. All right, now we're going into North Redondo Beach. All right, highest price point was 2.130. That sold on April 21st. Your average home price was 1.533, and your median price point was $1,471,000, up 13.2%. Looks like it's kind of centralized in north of Redondo Beach. We had 6 sold, 14 active, 12 pending. Days on market, 58 days, almost 2 months. Wow, interesting. Your turnover rate was 1.4. And again, your average years on home was 16 years. All right, now we're going into South Redondo Beach. Highest price point was 4.1, sold on April 27. Your average 2.157. Your medium was 1,483,000, down 18.9%. South Redondo Beach. Next slide. We had 7 homes sold, 11 active, 9 pending. Your days on market was 47 days, and your turnover rate was 1.65.
What this tells me is I want to focus on people that have been in their house 17 years.
Yeah.
If the average is 16, at 17, they're ready to go.
I would say between 10 and 15 is the sweet spot.
Really? But if the average is 16, wouldn't it be between 12 and 18?
This is just stats. Realistically, I don't know, maybe.
That's data, that's not stats.
Well, data, right? So let's do this between 10 and 20 years.
Okay, all right.
Better?
Broader range. I like to be more specific.
We need to meet in the middle somewhere, right? But good point, right? If you're really looking, and who's best to get information? Your title rep. Your title rep can get you stats of, people that have lived in the property for 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years. people that have no mortgages, people that have them as an investment or second homes as well.
Yep.
All right, next slide, I believe we're going now into Hermosa Beach. All right, so Hermosa's highest price point was $14. What's the agent that sold or listed that property, right? I think all of us would be. You do the arithmetic, even at 2.5%, that's still a pretty decent size. Big difference to the average home of 4.3. Medium home price is $3,035,000, up 11%. Next slide. We had 8 sold homes, 26 active, and 5 pending. Days on market is 88 days. 88 days. Yeah, what do you think is the reason? Higher price, right? Not everyone qualifies for homes at that price. And again, interesting, it's still 16.
Yeah. Your turnover, that is the highest turnover rate
Yeah.
of all the.
2.91.
we've seen.
All right, next slide. Now we're going into Manhattan Beach.
Ooh, Hermosa Beach, Manhattan, wow.
So highest price point was 13.5. That sold April 18.
On the string.
Your average home price was 4.98. Medium price point was 3,925,000, 40.2%, folks. 40. And that looks like, yeah, up in the Strand, up in the beach area. That's what I was doing. All right, so we had 22 homes sold, 51 actives, and 19 pending. I think Manhattan's probably out of the other cities, the most active. We had days on market 61 days, and your turnover rate was 2.7%. All right. Cool. Okay. Any questions? All right. Well, let's go ahead and continue. Next slide. I think it's a broker update. Let me share my computer real quick. What I'd like to chat with you is on the RPA. 1 second. If I get this little
Recording in progress.
Nat, do I have capability to share my computer real quick?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So there. Okay, so I want to talk on paragraph 14H. H is in Henry. Effect of cancellation of deposit. Okay. A lot of agents unfortunately get into a situation where there's a dispute between the buyer and the seller. Okay, and the buyer may want to exercise the right to back out of the deal, right? And the buyer has not released any of the contingencies or a contingency which is still in effect. Buyer has that right to back out. One could be under paragraph 14B, right? Physical inspections, the buyer decides, you know what, after really looking at the structure, the bones of this house, I'm just not in the position that I want to move forward with it. I want to cancel. They have that right as long as they have the contingency in place. Now, the seller may see it otherwise. Okay, because let's just say it's a 17-day period, right? 17 days to release physical inspections, loan contingencies, and appraisal, right? Or appraisal. Now, if there is a dispute between the buyer and the buyer wants out, but the seller says, no way, I ain't canceling with you. The only way I'll cancel with you is if I go after your earnest deposit. Okay, and that can happen. That can truly happen where the seller says no to the cancellation, even though the buyer is within their rights to cancel within that time period, right? So if there is an issue that gets escalated to that, please make sure to bring it to the broker or legal, okay? Because what it says is if the buyer or seller gives written notice of a cancellation pursuant to the rights duly exercised under the terms of the agreement. The parties agree to sign and deliver a mutual, okay, a mutual instructions to cancel the sale and escrow and release the deposit, if any, to the party who's entitled. In this case, if the buyer had their contingencies in place, who's entitled to that? The buyer. Absolutely, okay. Entitled to the funds less if there is any fees, okay? When they say less any fees, let's just say that the escrow incurred costs, right? Maybe they requested HOA fees, they ended up paying $400 to $500, right? That's a fee that escrow incurred, escrow needs to get refunded that amount. So that's where that comes into by escrow holder on behalf of the party. If required by this agreement, any escrow fee charged to the parties, fees and costs may be payable to service providers, vendors for services, products provided during escrow. A release of funds will require, again, mutual signed release of instruction from the parties, okay? Or a decision if there is an arbitration, right? If it gets escalated to a mediation or an arbitration. Now, the bold section here says a party may be subject to civil penalties up to $1,000 for refusal to sign cancellation. A lot of agents get and forget that this information is in here. Refuse to sign the cancellation instructions if there's no good faith dispute in regard to this. So if the seller doesn't have a good position to not allow the process to cancel, then the seller is in the wrong. And what this language says is if the seller refuses, we can escalate it and now go through the motions of filing a court and suing the seller to demand the cancellation. Okay. Now, there has to be a dispute. The parties are entitled to the deposit. The agents nor escrow holder are qualified to provide this. We escalate it to our risk management. Now, the cool thing, folks, is that our legal team and our risk management team will prepare a letter on your behalf or your client's behalf. If the seller or the buyer, because let's say that the buyer did release all of the contingencies, but they're refusing to sign off on it. Typically, what the provision on the contract says is that there has to be a mutual agreement or a mediation or an escalation of an arbitration. Okay. But if there is no good faith reason to hold onto this escrow, then you can escalate it and we can help you draft a complaint letter sent out to the seller or the buyer to force the seller or the buyer to cancel. And that usually stops this. Then the cancellation is done, seller moves on, buyer moves on, buyer releases, or excuse me, escrow releases the deposit, and the buyer walks away. Okay. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention that this language is on the RPA. Okay. Obviously, we are not experts in law, so please read where it says buyer and sellers are advised to seek the advice of a qualified California attorney. Okay, regarding this matter. Any questions?
What happened to that particular case?
What particular case?
When you have the seller?
So what ended up happening, there was back and forth, tug of war. Eventually, the seller did cancel, and the buyer was able to get their deposit back. It didn't get escalated. You do have, hold on one second. You do have the ability to send out a demand for the seller to release the deposit. Question.
Oh, I wrote in the chat, I had one go super crazy because doing the rural real estate, we always have to have a hold back in escrow because they have to move their livestock and their tractors and all this. So it was super common to have like $25,000, $50,000 in dispute in escrow, besides, of course, all the expenses incurred during the sale. And we actually had one where it was going on for so long that the title company did this like impleter thing, and they had to step out of it and pass the money on to like a higher authority with the state. It could get so protracted, and no matter how organized you are in your business, it's this thing like this open circuit in the back of your mind, always there. So for sure, I love that you brought up this little sleeper paragraph. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. And see, it's the emotional aspect of the deal. Okay, that's what really puts, these situations on pause, is when the seller or the buyer feel emotionally attached to the outcome of it, right? But if you follow the contract defines in black and white all of your answers, everything's on there. So if you know how to position yourself, you can always revert to section 14H of the paragraph that says that, if there is no good faith reason to hold this process, then the buyer or the seller have the right to seek and speak with an attorney, and then have them send a demand letter to release and cancel escrow. Okay, because there's been situations where everyone's just kind of standby. No one is doing anything. And escrow can be there holding the deposit and escrow for quite some time. We as brokers do not want to see that. We want to nip it in the rear, cancel immediately, let the seller move on, let the buyer move on. Okay, question? Go.
Yeah, so, in that situation, the seller's refusing to sign, you send a notice to the form first and then pursue the demand letter?
No, this is already far beyond that. The cancellation of escrow has already submitted to escrow. The buyer has signed off under their right to exercise the cancellation. So it's when the seller refuses to sign up on the cancellation. And again, I just want to stress and emphasize, if the buyer is with their rights, right? Buyer has their contingencies in place, decides to cancel, which they have the right. Remember, 17 days is the default, right? Release contingency. If they haven't released physical inspections, they do their due diligence, and they decide, I have a change of heart, I don't want to buy this property after all, they can exercise that right and cancel escrow. Now, the seller, on the other hand, may say, no, you know what? You dragged us for 15, 16 days. We're not going to cancel. We're going to go after your buyer's deposit. Therefore, you got to be very careful, because again, there's not a meeting of the minds. There's no mutual cancellation. That's when this exercise of paragraph 14H will come into effect, where now you seek and speak with an attorney who will draft a letter on your client's behalf to escalate the release of cancellation. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, cool. Good questions. Anyone else? All right. That is all.
And if it comes to that, our in-house lawyer would be able to help with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Bring it to my attention, and then we'll escalate it to risk management. An attorney will be appointed, and then the attorney will speak with you and your clients and draft a letter. Yes, sir.
So our attorneys will help our clients or us?
Us, and will help with drafting the letter on behalf of your clients.
Thank you.
Yeah, so cool. All right, let's continue. I think we have a couple of announcements, and then we should be done. Yeah. We live in a state of California that allows dual agency, folks, but we can't represent the seller. That gets a little tricky, because remember, you have to take care of your client's best interest, right? You have to be the middle person there. Again, not commingling, not exchanging, but just doing it as you are, just focusing on one particular client, and then changing hats and just working and being that agent for the other party as well. So in this case, you still do the same thing, Joanne. Unfortunately, because it's a dual agency, you've got to be very careful in how you approach this. But ultimately, this is a dispute between the buyer and the seller. This has nothing to do with you as a dual agency. Okay, so you still go through the motions in the process, and get legal advice on it.
For the attorney that's supposed to be writing the letter for the seller. Buyer or how is that?
Well, it depends on who's holding the process. If it's the seller, then it would be the letter sent out to the seller. If it's the buyer, then the letter would be sent out to the buyer. Remember, this is only if someone is delaying the process, who has the right to cancel, but the other party is not canceled. Okay? So again, I just want to stress and emphasize, when a buyer has contingencies in place, they have, a certain time frame to either move forward or cancel, right? But this is where the buyer, in this case, has the contingencies in place, sends out the cancellation, seller says, no, I want to go after a deposit, or delays the initial process of cancellation, then you escalate it to an attorney, seek legal advice. Yes, Bob?
So until that's straightened out, the property's encumbered, the seller can't sell.
Of course.
Yeah.
100%, yeah,
So that's something the seller has to keep in mind.
that's right.
How long do they want to drag this out, and maybe the market changes and you're gonna get it.
Well, and that goes back to the emotional aspect. The seller may be in his mind thinking, and maybe not being advised correctly, that if the buyer exercises the right to cancel within their rights, the seller cannot hold hostage the process, or more so the buyer's deposit, if the buyer is within the rights. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, it can go so many different ways. I'm just kind of giving you a generalized position, so. Good question, guys. All right, so this Friday, Manny is going to be having his guest speaker at the Producers Club from 8 to 8:30. He's out of the KW Coastal office in Long Beach. So if you're not jumping on those producers' mindsets, I encourage you. 30 minutes, just like Fred said. If you were not on Fred's 8 o'clock, that was it Tuesday or yes, or Tuesday. Yeah. So producers' mindset. Next slide. So open house in command, John Morris, May 16th. It'll be on Zoom. Learn how you can create and digitize flyers in command that instantly captures data and imports into your database. I know Carlos as well, right, Carlos? You teach classes that will help you navigate if you want to create flyers. Classes are on Thursdays at 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock. All right. Next slide. All right. We're having on Wednesday, May 17 at 10:30. Join. It'll be here in the training room. General architectural for beginners. It's going to be here live in person. I don't know if I have any information, but yeah, here in the training room. So I'm assuming it's going to be live, not on Zoom. So if you want to take advantage of learning the process for beginners, it'll be here Wednesday, May 17, 10:30 in the training room.
The name of the picture, what do you mean?
I don't know. Go back to the slide again, Nat, please. Let's see. Back to the slide again, please. So it's to empower you with general knowledge of different styles on architecturals that have had impacts on building culture in the city of Los Angeles. So I'm assuming that Stefan Beacock is a architect and will give you knowledge of how to create plans and all that stuff, blueprints, renderings, and all that good stuff. So yeah, it's good to know because you may have clients that are interested in remodeling or maybe doing new construction. So again, May 17th. All right, next slide. All right, just a reminder, our headshots are here with Cheyenne. May 18th, 11:30 to 1:30. So if you want a professional headshot, please make sure to register on our platform. So it's a 10-minute session, one look, one location, 3 edits. Next slide. Great looking people, by the way. She did it. She did it. How to get no cost leads with Michael. That's Thursday, May 18th, 2 to 3 p.m. And it's part of Realtor.com. I'm assuming it's probably part of also UpCity as well. Next slide. All right. Anyone have any listing or buyer needs and wants? New comings, hot listings? Yes.
Fire, for condo. 2 bedroom, bath, and 18 units for one.
Anyone else?
But I still have the two listings that we just put on the market last week.
Oh, the ones in Redondo. Yeah, great listings, by the way, bro.
Thank you. So we have two listings, in North Redondo, 2014 Grand Avenue, and those are 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, first floor is 1868, I think. And one is 1,199,999. The one is 1,225,000. And they're gonna have an open house on Sunday. So they want to take a look at it. Yes, they said, by appointment. One is super, the other one is the appointment.
What's the HOA on it?
150 until May 1st, 175.
That's still pretty reasonable. Cool. Anyone else? All right, team. Well, that concludes our team meeting. So thank you very much. Appreciate you all. Have a great afternoon and we'll see you in the next one.
Thank you.